going on, Andy? Good to see you. I got my drink. Little white wine. Hey. Randall, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Yes. Another sad Sunday music. My 2-year-old broke in. Bulldogs Bob. Oh, we are almost at 500 subscribers. I saw today, 495 something, Caleb. So subscribe. Nice. Hit the subscribe button, everybody. I don't know what that gets us, but remember when Tedford got sick? This guy was going on. He was stuck with the. It's all making sense. We might have my 2-year-old screaming soon, just so everyone knows. Nephew baptized today. All right. Congratulations to him. Now the challenge is the temptation is just beginning now. Caleb, how did you watch the game? I almost asked how'd you enjoy the game. How'd you watch the game last night?
At home by myself, which actually isn't that bad. That's usually how I prefer it. And then that way I can just text all the people I usually text during the game in peace.
Oh man, Clarence, what's going on? Welcome in. I watched the game. We were at a 1-year-old birthday party, and we were late to the start when I got home, and so slowly catching up, and then I had to put the 2-year-old to bed, and I fell asleep. But I was recording it, so
that's good.
Let's do this thing. Let's talk some football. Oh yes, Andy, we will be. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast, the live stream recap on X, Beware_Bulldogs, and on YouTube, Beware of Bulldogs. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about a lot of drama that's gone on. My 2-year-old's going to be yelling throughout this whole time, so apologize now, but I'm just going to let him go. So just going to let him do it. I feel like it's appropriate now that he can just yell. This is the right episode to do it. Well, the Dogs lose to Air Force 36-28. We are 5-5 overall, with I would say 2 tough games coming up: Colorado State and UCLA. Caleb, it's going to be tough to get bowl eligible. It's not going to be easy. But
especially when it looks like UCLA. Sorry to interrupt, but like UCLA is like looking stronger now. Like they're looking more competitive as the year goes on. I mean, granted, the Iowa team, I think they were on their like 4th string quarterback. So, but they're playing hard regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. So after this game, Caleb, maybe throughout the game, your whole feeling, watching this game. Can I just get your initial reaction? Like, game's over. We fall to 5-5 or 500 now. Everything's going on. What's your initial reaction?
I'm like, my confidence level in Skipper retaining this job has decreased significantly. I think that I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know how much blame you put on the defensive coaching staff, just because, I mean, there's a lot of interesting personnel things that happened on the defensive side of the ball this game. But I mean, in terms of like watching the game, after the first drive where Air Force marched it down and however many plays and just melted the clock, after that, I did not think we were going to win. Just because obviously the 7 teams that have beaten Air Force this year, they were able to solve them, or at least outscore them, and it did not seem like that was going to be the case for Fresno State, and unfortunately I was correct on that.
Yeah, I thought it was bad on both sides of the ball. So I thought defense was bad. I thought what the scheme that Coyle had for it, I don't think it was the right one. Offense has been bad for most of the year. We got a lot to work on, man. We got a lot to work on. But before we get to the game, let me get to my initial reaction after the game. I thought my initial reaction was, we're not going to go bowling this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way we're playing right now, we're not beating Colorado State or UCLA. That's really bad. My other thought was, Caleb, we should have seen this coming. We should have seen it coming. We should have been talking about it. And then the last thing was, Tedford was holding on, and I've seen people say this. Tedford was holding on by a thread, seemed like this, everything together. And once he was gone, it snapped, and all hell has broken loose. And it's amazing, actually, how far we've come from.
Right. Yeah, I think it shows a couple things about the strength of Tedford at the helm. Number one, just game management, clock management, and having all the little things covered. That's kind of one of his hallmarks, is he's always the most prepared guy on the field. And then secondarily, just like having an identity for the offense. And I feel like we're trashing on McCann every week, and I really try not to do that. But it's just frustrating when the offense is the problem. And most of the games this season that we've lost, the defense has done enough. This game probably not the case, but when the offense just can't put enough points up, then obviously the offensive minded head coach might be able to overcome that.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get to the beginning of this, where this all started. This started at 12:32 p.m. On Saturday. 12:32, a tweet was an X post was put out, and it said, "Should have took my talents somewhere else. Been treated second class this whole time, then called upon when they need something." That was Bulldog Corner, Cam Lockridge. Let me read that again. Should have took my talent somewhere else. Been treated second class this whole time, then called upon when they need something. Then there was a further post on Instagram, him with the Air Force Falcon holding up number 1. And then kind of nail in the coffin was there's a pin on a bag, and it says "Beat Fresno State." It's an Air Force pin. It says "Beat Fresno State," and it says "Going to the bye week with another L." Now, all of these were deleted, but people saw it, screenshot it, we saw it. Caleb, thoughts?
Well, one, like personally, you and I both like Cam. I mean, we've met and spent time with him, and so as a person, we both really enjoy him. But I think this is pretty short-sighted, especially like career-wise, because like this kind of stuff, I can't imagine. Like Cam, I think has the ability to potentially play in the NFL. And this is the kind of stuff like for the borderline guys, like if they like aren't going to be fully like team players and are going to, do some silly stuff in the media like that, that's possibly the stuff that, makes the, GM think about some other guy who hasn't shown a history of doing that. So like for his like career trajectory, I feel badly for him that, he was, he's doing this, but obviously, our actions have consequences. But yeah, it also makes me think, what's going on in that locker room. Obviously, guys aren't happy, and no one's happy after losses.
Yeah. So I really like Cam, and I think he very much has a chance to play in the NFL. To be honest, Caleb, I don't think this is going to play too much of a role in him in the next level, just because of, I mean, we've seen much worse. If you can play, they'll find you, and they don't really care. They're there to make money. The teams are. But here's the thing, and Cam doesn't have to say names, but I want to know the truth. Whatever happened, I would like to know. Right? Whatever it was, I want to know. And he doesn't need to name names, but from what we've gone through at Beware of Bulldogs, dealing with athletic departments and programs and things like that, it's very difficult, and it's not fun. Like I get, so I kind of if he's going through some things with coaching staff or administration or something like that, I want him to say it, because I don't like the subliminal messaging. He doesn't have to name names, but I would like to know what's going on, just because he looks like the bad guy right now. Right. And if it's something else, and I feel like we should know that as fans, but once again, he's probably thinking, oh, I don't really care what they think, or what do I owe them? I don't know. So here's my guess is the coaches said, you're just going to sit out. That was a dumb call, or he said something during the game, something happened, or after there was a reaction, and they said, no, because of your words /and/or actions on that game, we're going to sit you the whole game. And then he got upset. I don't know, but I would like to know the truth. So there's, at the same time, I don't know if I would have taken a picture with the Air Force mascot doing number 1 next to it. Yeah, so I mean, it was sad. I think he would have played a big role in this game if he had come back in, if he was allowed to come back in. So I just want to know the truth, and then I also want people to own their actions. And sorry, bud, my baby sister's sleeping. He's shushing me. My bad. Yeah. So, anyways, there's a lot going on, and I would just, as always, I just want to know the truth. Okay, let's get to the media, social media, shall we? On X. You can follow us on X. We put up a post after almost every game. We try to get every game so that you guys can leave your thoughts and reactions here. I'm going to share my screen just so that everybody can see. So I'm not making up. I'm not making up stuff. Not that I would. I'm not as smart as you guys to make stuff up. I did put up there, Caleb. Aren't teams supposed to be better as the season progresses? Nice. Tyler Valadeo, another disappointing loss to add to disappointing season. Tough to see where the program goes from here. Where does the program go from here, Caleb, in your point of view?
Yeah, that's the big question. I did see on X today the Fresno Bee reporter Kuwaita. I think that's how you say his name. He pointed out that both coordinators had 2-year contracts, and so if we do move on from them, there's going to be a significant portion of that still due to them. So that's kind of interesting, context for this discussion. But I think that for the most part, the defensive coaching staff has done a really good job with their side of the ball. Offense, you cannot make that case. So, I mean, it's very clear at this point, offense needs to be changed in terms of coaching staff. And I don't think Mikey is the one to lead that, next year with a hypothetical new leader or scheme. So yeah, that's what I would like to see. I think that there are some good pieces that hopefully we can still work with, whether it be Joshua Wood or Mandel, and obviously Bryson Donaldson. At running back, though there are some bright spots that we can be optimistic about, but I don't think it's with McCann and company, running this offense.
I agree. I am officially on the bandwagon that there needs to be major change. We released my brother and I talked yesterday morning about the basketball game. As we attended the game, Caleb, and there was, what was used with my friend in front of me said there has been a dark cloud around this program for a long time. And it is now moving past the Save Mart Center. Light is breaking through and moving over former Bulldog Stadium. The cloud is moving over. And I feel we got out of it. Basketball. I mean, we were only one game in, but just the energy around basketball it's a completely different world now. But football is also a completely different world, is going in the wrong direction. And I'm not, and I put it. I was talking to somebody today, and they're like, and it almost has to be from the very bottom to the top, because we were forced to sit through this through basketball season for years and years and years, and they allowed this to go on. My brother he's ticked off. Like, whatever person in administration forced us to sit through those years of basketball should be gone, because that was torture. And it was this easy to move on. Now the problem is, and I saw Andy bring it up. We don't have the money for this huge new football coach to come into. He's not getting a whole lot. But here's the other thing, Caleb, that I get caught up on is I like J.D. Williams. I like Jethro. Mm-hmm. I think Skip has done a great job with the linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I like our running back coach, Pryor. We have great running backs. So whoever is recruiting those guys and developing them has done a very good job.
Right.
In their positions. And their position group coaches. Okay, but when it comes to O-line and quarterback, we're struggling right now. We've been struggling in O-line department for a long time. And then, I struggle with getting rid of those guys. But if you're going to make a change, I think you have to make a complete change. But I don't know if that's possible. I'm fighting.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's possible to just keep the defense, and because obviously if there's a new head coach hired, they're going to have their own people and staff that they're bringing with them, and I think the administration would kind of be doing a disservice to whoever is hired to stipulate that hey, sorry, the DC has another year, you have to keep them. That's kind of tying one hand behind his back and not letting him actually run the program like he wants. So hopefully that's not the case. It seems like it would need to be start fresh, and hopefully he would want to retain some of the existing coaching staff, and if they would even consider staying too. That's the other side of the equation.
Oh yeah, that's very true. We'll see. There's 2 more games left, and we're not happy here. I know most of the Red Wave is not happy, and it seems to be that the locker room, they've lost they've lost one guy in the locker room. I don't know how much, but all right, let's keep going. Rye, he's sick. Bradley, I think this post by Lockridge says it all. Go on YouTube or X, and if you're listening, post the live stream. I think this post by Lockridge says it all. Skipper has lost this team. The guys have no fight. End of Skipper's short and unwelcome coaching tenure at Fresno State. Changes need to be made, and fast. And there's the photo. yeah, we talked about this. The one end of Skipper's short and unwelcome coaching tenure.
I mean, I think that's kind of an unfair criticism to Skipper. I mean, like I don't think he was the one that convinced Tedford to step down because of his health. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. We'll keep going. Curtis Hart. I didn't see a world in which our D would get manhandled by an undersized Air Force squad. Another fourth down penalty extends a scoring drive. Third and fourth down passes 5 yards short of the marker, and second half offense MIA. Culture change is needed. I agree with Curtis 100% on this. When I read this, and I think the key thing that stood out to me is culture and the culture change. There's a culture around Fresno State. I think it's missing. We have to get that back. And this is why I say it's kind of hard for me, because you would think former players would understand that culture and how to get that out of players. I mean, I understand that's not true. Not all former players make good coaches or know how to build culture, but they understand what it was. So, but I agree with Curtis. There is a problem culturally, and it needs to change. I am shook. Feels like 2023. It's so frustrating as a fan, but I feel even worse for the team because the talent is here and we are just not executing. I do think coaching is the issue. As much as I love Skip and his energy, I just can't get behind hiring him as the head coach. Time to post the job. Randy Buller, I'm at a loss for words. 7 teams found a way to beat Air Force, but we didn't. There needs to be changes. I'm willing to give CTS, that's Coach Tim Skipper, a real shot, but there needs to be changes with offensive staff and maybe QB. Caleb, you and I are definitely in that same boat, in agreement with Randy. Change offensive staff and quarterback. We'll talk more quarterback when we get to numbers. Richie Rich, since last year's 8-1 start, Fresno State is 6-8 with wins over college football blue bloods. New Mexico State twice, New Mexico, Sac State, Nevada, and San Jose State. The program is regressing and changes need to be made. Brutal. Sierra Nevada Sam. It's true. I'm looking at it since last year's 8-1 start, and now we're 6-8. That's not good at all. Sierra Nevada Sam. Losses to Hawaii and Air Force feel like deja vu. Just like last year's defeats to New Mexico and San Diego State, our program seems stuck, struggling to finish and losing easy games late. Changing that narrative will take a lot of work. And he adds, our Bulldogs are who we thought they were with the Dennis Green video. I know I saw he left a comment. Our program has improved over 25 years, and while fans want faster progress, we're still in the hunt for a 4th straight bowl appearance and win. Plenty to play for. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be very tough. Bako, SFG fan, poorly coached and unbelievably soft. Well done. Yeah, we are soft, and I would challenge our boys. We got to step up. And then Lou Hewitson, good thing we don't play Boise anytime soon. Sheesh. Oh man. Well, Caleb, let me get to the chat in here, and then you can share. Robert, I've been seeing he's very adamant. It's time to get rid of all coaches. Andy Skipper is stuck by a rock between a rock and a hard place. Win and get the job, or get fired. Skipper was given the interim role at the very last moment. He didn't get a real chance to make any of the changes he would want to make, from Bulldogs Bob. See, and here's the other thing, and that Bulldogs Bob reminds me of is, there's still recruiting. There's still development that comes along with coaching. He's never done this before. So, we can jump to conclusions and say, okay, time to get out, Skip. But there's so much that comes along with that. Yes, he's been a part of the program and coaching with Tedford. So, there's expectations there that we think he needs to meet. Then at the other time, on the other side of it, there's other things that come along with it that he probably didn't realize was going on. I don't know. Who knows? But there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, man. How does the defensive coach not stop the dive from Andy?
It's a good
They
question.
don't stop. They ran a 4-2-5.
I think, yeah, I mean, maybe we can, start talking personnel because, I mean, there were a handful of things that I think did play a role. Phoenix Jackson didn't play, supposedly out with illness. Dean Clark, I never saw him on the field. I didn't see why that was the case. So in safety, walk-on Ryan Wilson played a lot of the game. I mean, he did have some good plays, so not trying to dog on him. And then saw walk-on linebacker 53. I can't remember what his name is. He was in a lot. Tyler Mello got some meaningful playing time. So, yeah, that kind of plays into. Seems like the coaching staff is probably trying to send a message in some way and say, hey, look, these walk-ons are going to come in and play hard. And, whoever is causing problems in the locker room, I mean, maybe that's the message that they're trying to send. Who knows? Obviously, we don't have that direct insight. But, yeah, just a really strange game where we were getting dominated. I mean, the Air Force offensive line was handling our rush. And, I mean, I think Gabriel Lightfoot and Jason Jacks, I mean, both those guys played really hard this game. So I do want to give them some credit for their effort, but just overall execution. I mean, Air Force was just, I think, like they said, just manhandling our defense.
Yeah, and I don't think you can play 4-2-5 against a triple option team. And that is just telling the other team, run it up the middle. Mm-hmm. I mean, because they're going to show a lot of different things and then run it up the gut and then run play action. And then Alzillian Hamilton's going to bite on it. And there's going to be a guy wide open in the end zone. Right. But you got to run a 4-4. You got to run 4-3, bring the safety down. Something, you got to load the box. And it looked like the box was loaded on some plays, but Andy says, I meant defensive coach as in Skip and his experience. I think it goes for most of our coaching staff because most of them are defensive coaches. And, our defense has been solid all game. You let that get, I mean, they were talking as the week progressed, we got to stick to our assignments. Well, we blew our assignments often and then we didn't go out and make plays because you got to go make plays. And I don't think our coaches put them in the best position to win the game either. Mm-hmm. So let's talk numbers. Like we said earlier, final score 36-28. We'll talk numbers first, and then we'll get to like team statistics. I think we'll talk individual first. Mikey Keene goes 23 for 26, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Numbers-wise, Caleb, looks really good. What are your thoughts about Mikey Keene?
Yeah, I mean, that's aided by a long touchdown to Mac. So, I mean, if you take those 75 yards out of there, I mean, that's 22 completions for, 200 yards, which is about what he's been doing lately. So, the 1 interception, can't really fault him on that. Tipped. I don't know. I mean, it's just another average performance. And I like the comment said earlier about like the throws well short of the line to gain on 3rd or 4th down. I mean, that was extremely frustrating. And I laughed when he did it, but I mean, he's, on the sideline, could throw the ball away, but just decides to slide and take a 4-yard loss. I mean, that just seemed like the quintessential Mikey play there. So yeah, I mean, there's still some things that could have done much better, and I mean, he got Jalen Moss the ball a good amount actually, and I think that was good. Obviously, he found Mac on the sideline, and he was able to burn his guy and score, and Mac scored again late in the game. So Yeah, I think it was an average performance, but still, it wasn't strong enough to win this game. And obviously, Air Force only had one possession where they didn't score, and we had multiple. So that has to be put on the offense at some point. If the defense isn't going to hold up their side, then offense just can't give the ball away.
I mean, 28 points beats Hawaii. Now, granted, Hawaii's defense is better than Air Force, but I mean, here's the thing. I think this game was clear. Like, our O-line, I think, is the number one reason we don't have success on offense. And I think we would all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there coaching when it comes to Mikey that can be done to, step up, roll out, throw it away, do certain things to help the team out and play situational football? Yes, there needs to be a little bit more coaching there. But the other thing I noticed when it comes to Mikey is that there's not much excuse for him now, because on the Jalen Moss touchdown, which was a great play, by the way, and a good catch, and the Max 70-yarder, he threw them open, right? I mean, they weren't open when he threw the ball, is what I want to say. And so he has to be able to take his drop back and throw the ball, knowing and reading the defense, knowing where they're going to be, what's going to happen, knowing their speed. That's why you say after practice and do these things. And those are good plays and he needs to build on. And that should not be coming 10 games in. That should be game 2 or 3, right? Especially, I mean, he's had these guys around, right? And you don't have to have all day to throw, right? Those are pre-snap reads, drop back, throw the ball, throw them open. And he needs to be able to do that. And so I think there's no more excuses for him when it comes to those throws. So what I liked seeing was him taking those risks, because you didn't see him making those throws early this season. We have to be wide open for him to release the ball. So I liked watching him make those throws. Now I just want to see him take the next step, because I think at the same time, people talk about his completion percentage and being high. We throw way too many checkdowns, way too many short routes, easy stuff that, when I can come in and make those throws, that's not good. So we got to get the ball out. I mean, we should be throwing the ball downfield, especially to these wide receivers. We got to get the ball out and have them run underneath it. So, I mean, but 10 games in, we should not be having this conversation. This is stuff that should be happening week 2 or 3, right? So, man, it's tough, and I know it's hard with a bad O-line, but when you make those throws and you have a little bit of time, you have to throw it. You have to throw it. Okay, running the ball. Elijah Gilliam, 4 carries, 15 yards, and a touchdown. Jonathan Arsenault, 2 carries, 6 yards. Bryson Donaldson, 1 carry, 2 yards. Joshua Wood ran the ball once for -3 yards, and Mikey Keene was credited with 4 carries for -25 yards. That's a total of 12 rushes for -5 yards and a long of 12. What was your thoughts, Caleb, on the running game? Talk me through this, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't check the box score until before we went live here, and I was doing a little prep. So honestly, I didn't really realize it was that bad. But I think just the stark difference in time of possession. I know Andy mentioned it in the chat here recently, just about how really that was, I think, the biggest difference in the game here. That Air Force had the ball for 45 minutes, Fresno had the ball for 15. So we were having success throwing the ball, but again, this running game is dormant, and just offensive line not able to do enough to let the guys do some work. I mean, Gilliam, on obviously the first or the early drives was looking okay, but it just really, really bad when you have you finish a game with negative rushing yards. That's inexcusable.
What? O-line. Well, O-line has to do better. I wanted to, you brought up time of possession. I want to read this for you. This is Air Force rushing stats. Okay. Dylan Carson, 33 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Quentin Hayes, which was their quarterback, 25 carries, 91 yards, 2 tutties. Cade Harris, 4 carries for 47. Owen Allen, 10 carries for 45. They have 5 players over 40 yards. Then Cade threw 5 carries for 30 yards. Every single person that carried the ball for Air Force averaged over 3 yards a carry. Caleb, that's a first down. 3, 3, 3, 3. That's a first down. And they actually averaged over 3. They averaged over 3.5 yards a carry. Everyone did. Like we mentioned, we couldn't stop the dive. That was it. And then they held the ball for how long? How many minutes?
45 minutes, 8 seconds.
Oh man.
Yeah, and converting 5 of 6 fourth downs. I mean, that was like every time the Bulldogs got a big third down stop, it ended up being 4th and 1. They just do a QB sneak or a dive, and then they get it. So, yeah, it's frustrating when the Air Force rushing attack was just able to have their way.
Yeah. M. Grunner says there are a lot of teams with bad O-lines. Coaches should know their strengths and weaknesses, work with what you got. It's very easy to see coaching staff aren't up to task. Yes, I understand. I agree with that. But I also think if you have a bad O-line, you're all like the expectation is 500. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you're going to struggle against the really good teams, and you got a chance against the average teams.
We got, I would say, 2 decent teams, 2 good teams we're playing next week, next couple weeks. So it's going to be tough. Receiving. Magdalena, 4 catches, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Moss, 6 catches, led the team in receptions with 6, 75 yards and a touchdown. Richie Anderson, 5 catches for 60 yards. Tim Greer Jr., 2 for 26. Jonathan Arsenault, 2 for 19. Jordan Brown had a catch for 10. Donaldson had a catch for 5. Tarwater, one catch, 3 yards. Elijah Gilliam, 1 catch, 2 yards. No Raylan Sharp this game. He was out with an injury. Caleb, wide receivers had a good game when they got the ball. I liked what I saw. They would probably be the bright spot if you took something from this game. What do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, Moss and Delana both had productive games, and I think Richie Anderson was looking really good. I mean, he's definitely played his way into the starting lineup. I mean, he's quicker and more sure-handed than Baus seems to be. So, now that's tough for Baus to be dealing with the hand injury. It's tough to play tight end with that. But I mean, the freshman stepping up and making big catches. I mean, that was definitely a positive that we can take away.
Yeah. Looking in the chat, need a few screens to open up the run, a few more screens as H-back or your running back screens. Then Go Dogs says Joshua Wood would do better behind this O-line. He can scramble when it collapses. That's a good point. If you can't dominate the pass game, they'll load the box and make you go 80 yards. Hard to do. And we struggle to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. It's tough. Defense, Caleb. Tuasivi Nomura led the team tackles with 18. Malachi Langley, 13. Jaden Davis played. He had 11. We only had 2 TFLs. We had 0 sacks. We didn't force a turnover. It was bad all around. I mean, both sides of the ball. It was not good. I can't really say anything else. I mean, defensively, Caleb, you want to? We talked about it. We can't stop the run. We couldn't stop this running game. Anything that you want to add?
I don't really have a whole lot else, but we weren't able to get penetration and get tackles for loss, or at least 0 yards, and we weren't able to force turnovers. So Air Force just bled the clock dry.
Oh man, 0 sacks. They never passed. True.
True.
I think they passed 6. 2 for 6, 14 yards and a touchdown.
And I think
no picks.
Two of those were Air Force drops, I think. So they should have been a higher completion percentage, but I think Bulldogs got a little lucky on those.
Randall, this is a great recap. Glad to relive it.
Good point. Sorry, Randall.
Tawny, good to see you here. Air Force games are so boring. Agree. Only good thing in Robert's opinion is the water boy was spot on. Oh man, special teams, Caleb. Any thoughts on special teams? Jalen Moss had a 41-yard kick return, and then Dylan Lynch was 4 for 4 on extra points. Clay Lawrence had 1 punt for 42 yards. Any thoughts?
I mean, they didn't do anything to lose us the game, so I think that's a good mark in the special teams book.
Yeah, I was happy with special teams. As happy as you can be with special teams. Caleb, player of the game. Who are you giving it to? Other than Air Force rushing attack.
I guess it's got to be Magdalena. I mean, he made 2 touchdowns, and obviously was able to show off his speed on the long one. So, good game from him. And yeah, I guess that's one of the bright spots on the offensive performance.
Mm-hmm. I saw Richie Anderson in the chat. I like Jalen Moss this game. It was nice to see him. He led the team in receptions, which we haven't seen in a long time. So it was good to see Jalen Moss. But we got to win these. We got to win football games, man. This was a game we have to have, and the fact that we didn't. I mean, I can say for a fact now, Colorado State. We can play spoiler, but that stadium's going to be empty. Unfortunately, they're not going to be anybody there. Is there any reason to go? I mean, bowl eligible? Support local?
Hopefully it's a nice warm day. I mean, it'll be the end of November, but I mean, if there's any rain at all, it's gonna turn people away. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to get a dynamic crowd there.
Andy adds, fun to talk about coaching options next week. Bulldogs Bob. Mac should have had a bigger game. Air Force could not cover him. Yeah. I agree. Like all night long, Mikey should have been just throwing the ball up to Mac and Jalen and just say, go get it, because Air Force could not cover them. 7:30 game against Colorado State. I went to every game when we were 1-11. Wow. I did too. I went to every home game when we were 1-11. It was awful. But I mean, I was in the student section, so it was kind of fun. But at least we're not 1-11, and that one win was against Incarnate Word. So at least we're not 1-11.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about this, Caleb. We'll talk about Mountain West scores in a second, but the big thing around college football media has been, the college football playoff and the rankings that have come out. And what really grinds my gears is that they reserve this spot for G5 conference, right? Here's the G5 conference spot. For everyone listening, and clip this and send it to everyone. It's not a G5 spot. It's the 5th best conference champion. So when Boise is the 4th best conference champ, they should get the bye. it's not a G5 spot, and we don't throw them in the 12 spot either, the 12 seed. So it really gets me going, Caleb. I don't like that.
Yeah, well, hopefully for Boise's sake, they keep winning out, and then hopefully they're ranked in top 15, and that should get them. I don't even know what they're ranked right now, but hopefully
I
that'll
believe.
get them in contention for maybe getting a bye. That would be huge.
They should. I mean, they
Oh,
should have
Boise's ranked 12 already, so they just need to keep winning.
Yeah, they should have the spot over the ACC champ, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the scoreboard. New Mexico beat San Diego State, Caleb, 21-16. Eli Sanders, running back for New Mexico, had a big game, 16 carries, 173 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Did you catch any of the Mountain West games?
I watched the first quarter of this game. I mean, my main takeaway is just how terrible the field looks at Snapdragon Stadium. I mean, there's sand flying up when the guys are running. So, I don't know. It just was not looking good. And so after the first quarter and New Mexico put up 14, I was thinking, wow, this is going to be a high scoring game. They're going to really blow them out. And then the defenses showed up after that. So I guess I watched the more exciting quarter there.
Yeah, so as San Diego State started 2-0 in Mountain West, now they're 2-2, 3-6 overall. But we don't even play them this year. So then Nevada played Boise State. Boise State won that game 28-21. Ashton Jeanty carried the ball 34 times for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, we played Nevada. We did beat them, but they're a good team, and they gave Boise a run for their money. Mm-hmm. But Ashton Jeanty still. Jeanty for Heisman. I think he's the winner. Give it to him. Any thoughts on Boise, Nevada?
Yeah, closer than I thought it would have been, but I think Boise is definitely beatable. That's for sure. But I would love to see their hearts break in the college football playoff. We'll let them get all the way there.
Make us some money and then lose.
Exactly.
Utah State loses to Washington State 49-28. Petrus once again threw 45 passes. I still to this day have not watched Utah State play at all.
Same.
But it doesn't surprise me. San Jose State beat Oregon State. I didn't catch this game, but I heard it was crazy. They won 24-13. And I mean, good for San Jose State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. They're a tough team, and it was surprising that Fresno State was able to handle them so well. So credit to them. I do think Oregon State I think has trended down a little bit, but future conference mate there. Hopefully they can turn things around and recover next season.
Mm-hmm. And then UNLV squeaked one out against Hawaii, 29-27. Haj Malik Williams actually led the team in rushing yards with 122. Shager threw for 282 yards and 3 tutties. Ricky White had 7 receptions for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. Look, both of those teams were fun to watch. 2 good quarterbacks, and once again, UNLV. I mean, I think we're going to see I wish I would have pulled up Colorado State's schedule to see who they play. They play us and somebody else, but. Because I think it would be fun to watch a UNLV Boise conference championship game again. Because I think those are the 2 best teams. But it looks like it's going to be Colorado State unless we play spoiler. Then I don't know what happens from there.
Colorado State has Wyoming at home and Utah State at home. So those you would think would both be W's.
Right. Okay. That's it for the Mountain West scoreboard. Let's see what everybody's saying. At least we get a portion of Boise's money. The Mountain West keeps it all since we're going to the Pac. That's right. Talking about the money. Boise made a lot of mistakes. That's what Surf City Bill says. Robert adds, we're not going to have any fans in the stadium next game. Boise's gutsy. They don't lose those games. Utah State had to fire their regular coach at the last minute, so they are playing with an interim. All right, welcome to the list. Add yourself to the list. All 20 Spartans fans, just be happy they will be going bowling. If we beat Hawaii, do we have more energy versus Air Force? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I think we don't have the whole debacle with Cam. I think more fans are bought in. I think it's a completely different conversation tonight if we beat Hawaii. I do. I think. All right. Anything else, Caleb, in the world of college football that, I mean, it's a lot of top 25 teams. I saw Georgia Tech beat Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Georgia lost. Ole Miss. And Indiana is still undefeated. So, I mean, anything at DeBoer beat LSU at Alabama. Anything? Iowa State lost to Kansas.
I mean, it's been another great college football season. So, I mean, thankfully, we get to watch the other games too. We don't just have to watch Fresno State. So, I mean, I've had a lot of fun watching other games besides ours, especially when we're on a couple game losing streak now. But yeah, that's about it. We just need to move on from this sad Sunday, and hopefully the Bulldogs can turn it around here in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be tough though, like we've mentioned.
We get Colorado State at home. We get a bye week, and then we get Colorado State at home. There's a lot that we have to figure out, and I hope they can, especially for the mood on this podcast. But hey, man, we'll see what can happen. I mean, we're just gonna. I was talking to my dad today, and we're just praying for the boys and the coaching staff right now, because I know it's hard and there's a lot of people talking out there, and I'm just praying for relationships there, that they don't ruin the relationships, because those are lifelong. You want to keep those. And, there's people's livelihoods and things like that. But at the same time, you got to win. And we were talking about our job. I work in the insurance world. I get yelled at all the time if I do a bad job. My dad gets fired on the farm from different jobs, things like that. So it's part of life. It happens if you don't do a good job. But we don't want, we just want the best for everybody. So, and as in everybody, I also include in that the red wave, and that means they got to win. So, and that's the reality of it. We have to win. We got to go beat Colorado State. And let's go get healthy this week and be ready for the Rams, because it's going to be tough, man. That team's a good team. So, any last words, Caleb?
That's about it. Yeah, good time for the bye week. So hopefully we can rest up and I guess see where the team's motivation is. I think the coaching staff will be evaluating that and see who actually wants to play.
Yep. Last thing from the chat as I scroll through. Did you guys see the Utah AD's comments last night about the Big 12? I did. I think they might come home to the pack soon. They're all upset and whining about refs and different things like that, and how things are ran. I don't know if they would. I still don't think they would, just because of money wise, just because of the money that they're going to be making. But I would embrace them with open arms. Whoever wants to come join the pack, we need more. We need more teams.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, for God to love the world, he sent his one and only son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. You can find that eternal life on earth right now. You don't have to wait till we die. You can find that right now. If you have questions about Jesus, about Fresno State athletics, football, basketball, I almost wore my Fresno State basketball shirt tonight, Caleb, because I'm excited about it. But we're going to be recapping basketball games. My brother and I are trying to figure out a schedule. He lives in Atascadero, so it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be, we're going to have to figure it out. But and then Caleb, if Caleb watches a game, he'll talk too. We're still deciding if we're going live every time or if we're not. We like the interaction in the chat. We like talking to you guys. So, but hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we go live, since we are so inconsistent. So thanks for putting up with us. We appreciate you guys and all your support. And last but not least, even after a loss, we are all about the dogs. Go Dogs, baby.
Go Dogs.